Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Side Hustle Ideas. I am Bill, the company's expert. And if you are curious or interested in doing a side hustle and adding an income stream to the money you're making right now with your day job, and you're curious about the whole idea, but you don't know how to go about doing it, well, you have come to the right place, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. I absolutely love business. I've been in business for myself for many, many years. And I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing that solves a lot of problems in your life. The first one, the obvious one, being a way to make a lot of money. Second one being, if the corporate world or the world of jobs is not really for you, I mean, you can do it, but it's not fun and it's kind of depressing and you don't like working with the people and you've had bad experiences. This is also a solution to that. It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things kind of converge in this. And it's ironic considering my background. I never started out to be a business guy. I went to school for engineering way back once upon a time. And I was and am also an introvert, which also doesn't really fit the mold for like a business type person. But, you know, my heart goes out to all the introverts out there, because let me tell you something. If you're an introvert, introverts are the ones that innovate, and they're the ones that invent things. And if the world didn't have introverts, we wouldn't have discovered anything. I don't think we would have discovered fire or the wheel by now, because you need those type of people. You know, people that really get obsessed about something and they don't want to just go out and party and hang out with 50 other people they don't know all the time. They want to actually focus on a problem and get lost in that problem and go inside their head and figure out stuff. I didn't come up with this. This is something you can go look up. You look at extroverts versus introverts. They both have cons. They both have pros. But the great thing about introverts is that they are the innovators, and they are the ones that tend to work on problems and succeed. Can you think of an application for that? Hello? You want to be in business for yourself? You want to make a lot of money doing something that you have created? A role that you have designed for yourself and that you are your own boss for? That's what we're talking about here. And one thing I like about side hustles is that they're a wonderful gateway into being in business for yourself and not having a day job. But we're not going to put the cart before the horse. We're going to talk about the very first step, which is doing something on the side and supplementing your income. Now, this is the third one of these that I'm doing. This is going to be a series, and I was toying with the idea of even doing 2 of these a week, 2 of these live streams a week, because they're so short. And I'm thinking of maybe I should go into one concept possibly per episode and then open it up to questions. So if you are here, and I see there's 18 people here, you guys are all awesome for being here. And it's good that you're interested in self-improvement on a Monday morning, no less. You can see the chat. Say hello in the chat, and if you have any burning questions, I'll see if I can get to those, and we'll try and get into that stuff. So anyway, last time we talked about the marketing funnel. The big takeaway, of course, for the marketing funnel was that if you are starting out a business, you can't just tell like 5 or 10 people that you're doing this. You have to get exposure to a lot of people. Okay, and I enjoyed doing this last time, so I'm going to do it again this time, but I had this screen and I prepared it and I was all proud of myself. So Bing is great for image searches. Google is really, really good for many, many different types of searches, but Bing is great for image searches because it takes you right to the image and not necessarily to the website that displays the image. So we had talked about this. Okay, so this should be familiar for everybody who was with us last week. The idea that if you want 5 customers who pay you to do something, right? In order to get those 5 customers down here at the bottom, you go through these different steps, right? And each step is a multiple. So if there's 5 people down here that buy it, there might be 10 or 20 or 50 people here in this purple area, ones that are really serious and they're really considering paying you for the thing that you do, whether it's selling a product or a service. But they're just not sure, or they're getting more information. And then for every one of those, there might be 5 or 10 of people up here that are interested, but they don't take the steps to investigate, and so on and so forth. So right at the top here, these are all the people that have some kind of awareness. Maybe they walked by one of your advertisements, if you had a poster or something on a wall, or if they were on a website and they saw like a thumbnail or an ad that you ran, and just for 1 or 2 seconds, they just glanced at it and then looked away. That's the people up here. So the idea, what this tells us, okay, and this is the first rule of, if you're going to be in business, in my opinion, the first concept you should understand is that if you are wanting, say, 5 people down here to buy a product, you've got to have an exposure to many, many, many people. This could be 1,000 people. This could be 100,000 people, right? You might think, oh my God, how can I reach that many people? Well, the magic of the internet is amazing, okay? If you can get yourself posted in groups on social networking or hashtags or whatever, you can get those kind of exposures, right? Depending on what you're doing. So doesn't mean you necessarily have to do that for every business idea, but that's the basic concept, okay? So we went into that the first time on the first one of these. So hopefully that makes sense. But I was thinking about this, and I was thinking that maybe I started off with the wrong concept, okay? The first concept, probably, I think everyone should start with, now that I'm thinking back at all the conversations I've had with students in university that have come up to me and were interested in this topic, it was more about, and this is so out of character for me, but it's more about a little bit of motivation. It's about the fact that you can do this. It seems very intimidating if you're interested in, usually the motivation for a lot of these things, in my experience, is 2 possible ways in. One is money. You need money. You're thinking of like, I really wish I had more money coming in every month. So the idea of a side hustle is kind of planted. The other one is more creative. Okay, if you have your own ideas of how to do things or how to do things better, that's another sort of way in or motivation to do this. And both of them are fantastic because both of them kind of push you in the direction of learning about this stuff. And the more of this stuff you learn, the better. The big twist, of course, is that the more you learn about business and how business works, the more it'll even help you in a conventional career, in your day job. So it's a great thing, okay? Yeah, so the first thing is you can do this. It might be very intimidating at first, especially if you're someone like me that did not come from a business background, but kind of got pushed into this. There's a lot of different things to learn all at the same time to get it off the ground. I remember a couple of years ago when I was sort of starting to put videos on YouTube just on the side. I wasn't meant to go anywhere. That was intimidating too, because you had to learn YouTube all at once. You had to learn about making videos. You had to learn about how YouTube works and all that kind of stuff, all the lingo and all the concepts. Quite intimidating at the time. That's my memory of it. I'm not a video production guy. I never was. And so, it's the same kind of idea. Lots of things to learn all at once. But I'll let you in on a big secret. Business is actually not that hard, okay? In my experience, like I said, I went to engineering, and then, 10, 15 years later, I really started to learn business properly. Totally different. It's an order of magnitude easier than something like engineering. I can tell you that right off the bat. It's really not that hard. Okay. And it's also very, very specialized. Apart from a few main concepts, your experience will be very, very specialized depending on what you're trying to do, what industry you're going into, what audience you're trying to attract, all that kind of stuff. So that's the great news. The other great thing about doing a side hustle is it diversifies your income. So it's not just that you're making more money. You've got money coming in from presumably some kind of day job, right? That's kind of the idea. You have a day job. That's where your main effort and attention is focused. But you do this other thing on the side. Okay, now you've got money coming in from both, so you make more money, right? But the other great thing is that it diversifies your income, which means you got income coming in from 2 different sources. And this is great because you have security because of it. If anything happens to your day job, you still have money coming in through the side hustle. You might even be able to ramp up your side hustle if something happens to your day job. And in which case, you'll land on your feet. That's the idea. And I love the idea of teaching a side hustle because, as I said, it's a gateway into being in business for yourself, which means, in my definition, that you're not doing a day job. You just have your side hustle, which is your main thing, your main line. So, yes. Let's see who we got in the chat. We got Vivian here. Good morning. I remember you from last time. Vivian. So good morning, Vivian. Yolande, if I'm saying that right, saying hello from the Netherlands. If you're from the Netherlands, wouldn't it be Yolande van der Peters or something like that? I had an awesome boss many years ago who's no longer with us, but he was from the Netherlands. He was awesome. That's the first Dutch person that I really got to know up close, and he was great. So I'm very big on the Netherlands. Saying hello from the Netherlands, originally from South Africa. Wow, just came from a second interview. Thanks for your videos. It really helped. Great. Yes. Normally on my YouTube channel, we talk about how to get a job, a conventional job. But this is also related. The two things are related. It's about having a career and making money, doing what you like. Vivian says, any tips for creating a YouTube channel that shares videos from other channels? Can you do that? I know that YouTube has really cracked down on that kind of thing with all their copyright stuff. So my understanding is that you can't really take... Well, maybe you can. I know for shorts and things like that, you can... There's always a box that you have to tick, whether you allow other people to use your clips or something or not. So maybe you can. I'm not really an expert on that. I don't repurpose anything from anyone else. I try and make everything on my videos, like the music and the images and the content. I try and do it all original. So I'm the wrong person to ask for that. But the other thing is that if you're using repurposed content or you're using other people's content, doing like a mix or something like that, I imagine the opportunities are more limited, because if you do make serious money with it, you would have to share it with other people because you're using their content. So that, I mean, it can be done, and I'm not necessarily trying to discourage anyone, but that would not be my approach. I would try and think of something original and have it succeed on its own merits. So yes. But yes, a YouTube channel is a popular side hustle. I mean, I'm not really one of those YouTubers that talks about doing YouTube, but yes, that's something that's a great example because it costs absolutely nothing to do. So there you go. The other thing I wanted to mention, the last sort of new concept that I wanted to cover today before we go to questions is, you might have heard this, but an expression called "build it and they will come," right? Build it and they will come. I think that comes from a movie, right? Was it Field of Dreams? Something like that. There was a Hollywood movie that had that. And for some reason, people have been using that quote. I guess it's a nice little soundbite, nice little headline. Build it and they will come. Absolutely false. Okay? I have seen, unfortunately, up close, a lot of entrepreneurs, startup founders, usually technical people, usually introverts, that unfortunately believe this. And so they feel that, oh, if I just create this thing, it'll set the world on fire. It'll change everything. People naturally will want it. I think it's great, so naturally everybody else must think it's great. And then fame and fortune and world-changing status will then follow. False, completely false. Build it and they will come is incorrect. Okay, this is why we have things like marketing and sales. The idea that you have to give people what they want, and if they're just not into something, or they're just not looking for it, it's a pretty tough sell. Okay, you can't educate people, you can't convince people, teach them, you know, oh no, this thing is good because of this. If they don't see it, like immediately, they're not already looking for it, they're not already open to the idea, it doesn't work. That's why a lot of side hustles are more, what's the word? Not more mundane, more traditional, less innovative type stuff, because that's what people want. Now, I have sort of been in two worlds here. I've assisted people who have been in two worlds. On one end, one extreme, you get the innovative tech startups. You know, somebody that's developed some new software, some new technology, you know, in their basement, and they want to make $1 million with it. On the one hand, you get that. On the other hand, you get, say, a contractor, someone who has some skills in the skilled trades. Maybe they're a carpenter or electrician, mechanic, whatever. Even a laborer. Okay, I have seen that. But, usually somebody with some kind of skill trade. And instead of just working for a big company, okay, they're getting a job as an employee of a construction company, right? Instead, they want to be in business for themselves. They want to start their own company. Now, a lot of people usually do this after working as an employee for several years, but some people try to jump into that a little earlier. Now, I want to contrast these two. On the one hand, you've got the innovative tech startup. They go the route of, I'm going to sort of get a lot of money. I'm going to get grants. I'm going to get loans. I'm going to get investors, and I'm going to try and, buy all this stuff and have one roll of the dice and just hope that this works. And when this thing is created, it'll set the world on fire. Everybody will want it. They go that route. And then the contractor, the construction contractor, goes another route. Who succeeds most often? The contractor. Because when you say, hello, I'm a plumber, or hello, I'm a framer, or, I do drywall, or, whatever you do. I'm a roofer, I fix roofs. There's definite advantages in that. First of all, number one, everybody knows what the hell that is, right? If you're creating something brand new that the world has never seen, then something innovative, and you say, hey, I create this, and they go, oh, what's that, right? The thing about the plumber is hey, everybody knows what a plumber is. There is already an established market of people and businesses that know they need plumbers. They hire plumbers all the time. It's a thing. A, they know what a plumber is. B, they know why they need one. And C, they know they understand why they have to pay a plumber money. And when a plumber asks for, say, a standard industry rate for the amount of hours they put into a job or whatever, the customer, whether it's an individual or a business, knows, oh, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I agree with that, right? As opposed to the tech startup where you say you have to pay for this thing. Oh, why would I have to pay for that? Shouldn't that be free? It's software, right? Shouldn't it be free? Stuff like this, right? The startup has a much tougher business problem. Not only is there not an established, group of potential customers there, you have to educate these people on, why they should want this, why it's a good thing, what it does, and why it's worth people paying money for, right? So a whole other set of challenges. So usually something pretty straightforward, pretty, I hate to use the word unoriginal, but established is usually a good idea for a side hustle. So when you put up your hand and say, hey, everyone, I can do this, and I charge, a decent rate for me to do this, people go, okay, yeah, I know what that is, and I know that it's something that's useful, and I know that I need one, and I know that I should pay money for it, right? Already, you have that. You don't have to tell people what it is. They understand. You say, hey, I can do babysitting, or I can walk dogs, or, all those cliched things that people do for side hustles. Vivienne says, thank you. I just rather not be on camera. Yes, that's a phobia that people have. I had that too at the beginning. It was just kind of weird. It's like you shoot videos of yourself and put it up. And I think isn't the thing, everybody goes, oh, I don't want people to see me. What if somebody sees me? They I don't know, they might laugh. Yeah, that's something you get over. I mean, it's a sort of mini version of what you do for public speaking. If you learn public speaking, same idea. I don't want to get up in front of a group of people and talk. They might laugh at me, right? It might be awkward. I might get nervous. I probably will get nervous. I might get very nervous. I might faint and fall over and bang my head on the coffee table. It's a natural thing. But once you get into it, you realize, look, literally millions of people are doing this every day. And if those people can do it, you certainly can, right? You look at some of the people that are on camera, and it's like, whoa, if that person can do it, I should be able to do it, right? So, yeah. Anyway, if you have any questions about side hustles, we got 34 people here. You guys are all awesome, by the way. Ask them in the chat. I'm here also to answer questions, and I really don't have a script, or a plan here. So I'm also doing this on Monday because later this week I might have some stuff that might prevent me from doing some live streams. So I figured I'd get one out of the way, and I may go to 2 of these a week if people are interested enough. So yes, ask questions in the chat if you have any, and it would be my pleasure to see if I can answer them for you. There was one question last week that I noticed when I was posting the video that I didn't answer. It sort of fell between the cracks, and it was somebody, I can't remember their name. They were saying something like, Bill, can you explain how you come up with financing if you are going to do a startup idea or a side hustle idea where it needs funds to start it? And my answer to that is, first of all, I really, really don't recommend that method. That is a Silicon Valley fallacy, okay, that you need to do that. And the concept behind it is that in this world, we've got big companies and we've got small companies, okay? Big companies, they exist to solve big problems, okay? Think of like Walmart, think of Boeing, think of, these large companies, Shell Oil, they exist to solve big problems. An individual can't solve those problems. Okay, you can't do what Shell Oil is doing in your garage. It's just not possible, So the big problems are there for the big companies. Small companies exist to tackle small problems. Okay? Like, for example, I need someone to walk my dog. That's a small problem. You don't need Boeing to handle something like that, nor would you kind of want to. You don't want to trust them with stuff like that. They may not care about you. They may not be 100% trustworthy the way maybe perhaps one of your friends might be. Something like that, right? So that's the underlying concept here, okay? It also amplifies the risk like a millionfold and throws up a lot of ideas. But just to answer your question, I did do a live stream like 2 or 3 years ago on that very topic. It's like how to get financing, okay? How to get funding. Okay, I have a master's degree in finance, and I've worked with startups and small business, so I know some of the things you can do, but I'm just not recommending it. It's not what you should consider for a side hustle. You should start with what you have. But check out those live streams if you still want to pursue that. Okay, so over to the chat. Yolandi says, love all your videos. I have a question about interviews, if that is okay. Well, no, we're here to talk about side hustles. I do a live stream on Wednesday about interviews, so I'll be happy to talk about that in that live stream, if that's okay. Glenn says, hey, any ideas on consulting as a side hustle, even if you don't have experience? I hear people talking about it, but isn't it difficult to position yourself as an expert without much experience? Excellent question, Glenn. Okay, here's the deal on consulting. I know a little bit about it, having been a consultant, and that's one of the things I do right now. Okay, first off, when people have a work gap on their resume, they like to put consultant on their resume. You like that weird, spastic hand signal there. I do this, right? I don't do that. That's Nixon. I do this. Anyway, I like to put, consultant on their resume just to disguise the fact that they're really unemployed, okay? And the theory being that, if people have questions, I'm perfectly capable of answering questions. So that makes me a consultant. I mean, the fact that no one's hired me doesn't make me any less of a consultant. I'm still technically a consultant, right? So that's the first kind of thing. Now, a lot of people say that, but very few people actually do it, okay? The other thing about consulting is that you're selling advice, okay? Now, anybody can give you advice, like literally anybody who can speak and is conscious can give you their opinion on what you should do, okay? The thing that consulting is based around is the idea of trust, okay? if I ask you for advice and you say something to me that's not really intuitive, it just sounds like, really? You want me to do that? My opinion differs from yours, but I'm still going to choose your opinion, which I have doubts about, over mine and do what you say. That involves a hell of a lot of trust, okay? So having someone's trust is absolutely paramount if you're going to go into consulting. What does that mean in the real world? That means you have to be credible. You can't just be some Joe or Jill that has an opinion, right? So if you're starting out as a consultant, usually it helps if your original clients that are paying you to solve a problem, they are people that you already work with, that you've already worked up close with. So maybe people at a previous job you've had as an employee. Okay, they've worked with you, they've gotten to know you, they trust you, they know that you know what you're talking about when it comes to this. So when it comes to that, they'll get your opinion because they trust you and they'll take it, right? That's the idea of consulting. So it's usually easier to start off among that little tiny network of people you already know that have worked with you, that trust you. And instead of paying you as an employee, they pay you as a sort of, in a way, a pseudo contractor, okay? That's how it feels anyway. That's how I started consulting. And that's how a lot of people do it, because with those people, you are trusted. With anyone else, they've never heard of you. They don't know who you are. So therefore, they don't necessarily value your opinion. Okay. That's what I'll say about that. Hopefully that helps. WCK champion, Marco. Yes, Marco is back. Hi, Bill. Has anyone ever considered professional gambling or betting exchange as a form of side hustle? You're always awesome. Listen, I did a video. It was like one of the first 5 videos I ever did on this channel called The Difference Between Investing and Gambling. Okay. Gambling does not work. Okay. I'm a master's degree in finance. I can tell you that mathematically, scientifically, it doesn't work. This is well known. Okay. There's a difference between investing and gambling. The difference is that in investing, the odds are that you're going to win. Okay. In gambling, the odds are you're going to lose. So the idea is that if it's a game of random chance, you're just throwing dice or something, and you're gambling like in a casino, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but in the end, you will lose more than you win. The odds are against you, okay? The house always wins, right? You know that expression? So that's what gambling is. That's the definition of gambling. Investing is different. Investing is like, okay, you look at the world economy, okay? The world economy is going up every year. There's more wealth in the world every year. A big reason why that is because there's more people in the world every year. So people are making more food, more energy, more products, right? There's more of those being made every year, okay? So like the stock market, for example, is like a little microcosm that kind of supposedly represents the economy, right? Now, if the economy is growing. Now, some companies are making money, some companies are losing money, some companies are growing, some companies are shrinking. But on average, okay, they're all growing by something like 2% every year, 5%, something like that. So if you took, like the example I said in the video is that if you gave a monkey, you put the monkey in charge of a stock portfolio, and the monkey could decide when it buys stocks and when it sells stocks and how much it buys and how much it sells, right? Like totally random chance. The monkey's going to invest in things that are successful and things that are unsuccessful, right? Just random chance. But at the end of the year, on average, the value of the monkey's portfolio, their collection of stocks, will have gone up by 2%, right? Or 5%, because the entire economy has gone up by 2 to 5%, right? That's the idea. So that's what investing is. Investing is like, there's no way to predict. It's all about statistics. You can't predict whether this stock is going to go up or down or whatever. It's all random chance. But on average, things will go up slightly more than they go down, right? So that's investing. So any business by definition, which is like gambling, okay, like true gambling, is in my opinion, not a good idea. Okay. There's also special laws about gambling and stuff like that you need to be aware of, depending where you are in the world and what the rules are. Okay. So that would be my advice for something like that. It can be done. You do get casinos and things that make money, but it's just a minefield. Okay. And I would recommend looking somewhere else for a good idea. Slick Joe, there's a name. It sounds like you're kind of the dude that's doing the gambling. Hey, Bill, in the USA, for a person with I don't know what a W-2 income is because I'm not in the USA. How important is it to create an LLC before any sale of product or service? Now, once again, I'm in Canada. We don't have LLCs. If you're talking about incorporating, just in general, it's not important. You don't have to do it. And it's a fallacy to think that you have to. When we watch movies and things, the way business is portrayed to us, you might get the impression that you have to incorporate, create your own company's identity, like tax identity, to do anything. You don't, okay? And even in the States, you still get things like sole proprietorships or partnerships that's not an LLC. That's not as formal as an LLC. It's just a thing that you just start making money on the side. Okay. If you go to a garage sale and you sell your old crap, you make a few bucks on the side. Do you have to incorporate? No, of course not. So in the beginning, that's how this stuff works. You make money on the side. It's still part of your own personal finances. And the only time I would recommend anyone needs to incorporate is when you've really taken this to the next level. Okay. You can be independently wealthy in a sole proprietorship. You never have to incorporate. Okay. And the only time you might want to consider not doing that is if it's a one-person business, is if you could get sued by somebody. If that's a real possibility. You know what I'm saying? If it were me, I just wouldn't do anything super risky like that. But no, you do not need an LLC to be in business. You don't have to worry about any of that crap to be in business. The only problem, like we talked about last time, the only problem that you need to solve is how to get money coming in. Okay? How to get customers to want to pay you for the thing you do. That's the only problem that's relevant. If you can't solve that, or you haven't solved it yet, everything else is irrelevant, including tax stuff, legal status of if you're an LLC or a proprietorship or incorporated. All that is absolutely moot. It doesn't enter the discussion at all until you have money rolling in. And in that case, it's a problem that you look forward to. Because if you're worried about that stuff, it means that you've got a lot of money coming in, a lot more money than you could have made with a day job. Okay, so don't worry, Slick Joe, just keep it simple. You worry about that stuff later. Vivian, do you have any tips for pet sitting as a side hustle? Well, like any business, I would learn how that stuff works. I don't have pets. I'm not a big pet person, so I'm not sure. I'm sure there's legal stuff, right? Like if you take responsibility for someone's pet, I'm sure there's some legal stuff there, right? What if the pet dies? What if you neglect it? What if you accidentally poison it? I would be down with that stuff. Like, what's the law for it? What are you legally entitled to do? And what can you do to mitigate that stuff? So a great practical solution to this would be if you have ever worked for a company that does pet sitting and you get that view of what they do from the inside and you see, they have this insurance and they follow these rules, that would be some good insight. So if you don't have that personal experience, doing research into that would probably be a good first step. Okay. Rawl says, I want to be seen as a valuable employee to my manager and get a promotion. I also stay overtime at work sometimes when needed. Am I doing the right thing? I can't answer that for you, Rawl. That for some people, that would be the right thing. For others, maybe it's not their calling, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with whoever, if that's you or not. Some people, they are built to be in business. They are built to go their own path in life. Other people, their strengths are in conformity, in just being an employee, doing what they're told, not really steering the ship, but following orders. And if that's the type of person you are, there's absolutely no shame in that. You can really do well if that's the path you take, right? And a lot of people, when you're younger, especially, you don't know. You don't know. You tried one thing, maybe it worked or it didn't work. You try another thing, right? You're figuring that stuff out. And in my case, I thought I was more of a conformist, and it turns out I'm not. And my path in life was to go my own way, and it's worked out. And I did kind of a hybrid thing where I did the corporates thing, and then I also went out on my own. And when I went out on my own, I've never looked back. So that's just me. But it's about you figuring out what options are out there and trying stuff. That's how you learn. You try things and you see how it goes and how it feels, So, but don't be afraid to explore, okay? Like, manage your risk, make sure, you do things properly, and explore. The great thing about the way I recommend people do side hustles and businesses is not to borrow a lot of money, not to take huge financial risks, okay? So you're risking your time and your effort. Now, to me, that seems like something that, you could risk and it wouldn't be too much of a problem, right? If you're going to gain knowledge out of it. And a lot of the stuff you learn by trying to do business, ironically, also helps you in a conventional career. If you know how sales works, you know how operations works, you know, a lot of the support services like accounting and HR and so you understand those, that can only help you, even if it's just your destiny to be in a sort of corporate role, working as an employee. You can be a better employee that way. You can be more valuable to the company because you have an awareness of how all these pieces fit together. Okay, so best of luck, Raul. Don't be afraid to try stuff, manage your risk, and at the end of the day, you will come out on top over all the people that never even investigated or tried stuff. Okay, that's the great thing. Hopefully that makes sense. Thanks for your question. Alex says, I have a 15-year IT career ranging from MSPs to pharma, banking, and engineering. How can I leverage this into a side business? Well, first of all of those make a lot of money. I mean, pharma, yeah, there's a lot of money there. Banking, hello. I mean, I haven't looked this up. I'm not an economist, but isn't that like one of the most profitable areas of business to be in, banking? And engineering. Yes, engineering makes the world move forward. I mean, I have a degree in engineering, so obviously I see the value in it. You have some skills there. Like, even if you're doing a tiny piece, like say in pharma, you worked as a salesperson or you worked in R&D, like whatever you did in that industry, obviously there's people that are going to pay big money for those skills, right? So how can you leverage this into a side business? Well, the obvious thing was, let's say in pharma, you were a salesperson, okay? Or let's say you were a researcher, whatever. Instead of working as an employee, you can offer the same services, but on a contract basis. And then you could do it for more than one company, more than one employer, as it were, right? You could teach this. You could go to school, give lectures and teach this kind of stuff. You could do training. You would offer training in it. You'd say to people, look, you're wanting to learn about pharma sales in big pharma or whatever. You're trying to get a job in that. You've just come out of school. And, you've got the theory of, I don't know what you learned for that, but maybe you don't have the practical experience. I have the practical experience. I can give you a sort of short course on how this actually works in the real world and what are the actual real world skills, how to develop them, and how to sell yourself on the basis of the fact that you know that stuff. That's what I offer. It costs this much money. I'll give you training in some way, and then could be tutoring, could be an online course, whatever. And then I'll give you the certificate, like whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm making this up off the top of my head, so it's not going to be a zinger, but just as an example, you could these skills that you have, or these things are in demand. They make a lot of money. Everybody knows they make a lot of money. So you could turn any one of those into an independent business. I mean, engineering, hello, you could be an independent engineering contractor. You can offer your services. You sit down with the heads of department or hiring managers for a lot of engineering firms, and you say, look, I can do these services. I can do this work for you on a contract basis. There must be some times when your workload is really heavy and you wish you had 5 more employees, but you don't want to hire those people because then you have dips in your workload and then you have to pay those employees. It's expensive. Well, for those peak periods, hello, I'm here. You can offload some of that work onto me, and I can take care of it. You can start with things like that and then build up an independent engineering contracting business, something like that. I don't know. There's many, many ways you could do it. Okay. Glenn says, all right, thank you for the answer. My pleasure, Glenn. All the more power to you. WCK champion, no, Bill. I was referring to betting exchange. That is treating sports bets like stocks, buying or selling them. It's not a random chance game like roulette. Once again, depending on what country you're in, they have laws about that kind of stuff. Who can do it, who's allowed to do it. So learn that before you do it. Okay. Once again, I imagine the first challenge would be to how to get it going legally. The second challenge would be how to create awareness that this is a thing, that people can do this. Okay. So you've got that game of marketing going on. Ooh, it's 41 minutes since I started. I'm running over a little bit, but we'll take care of some of these questions. Borko says, hi, thank you for all the tips. You helped me a lot. Please advise on burnout issue. I worked for 2 jobs, 70 plus hours a week. Whoa, that's intense. And my life suffers in all aspects. I'm not surprised, Borko. 70 hours a week is quite a lot. I've done 70 hours a week doing side hustles and things like day job plus side hustles. My CEO job was pretty all-encompassing. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, hard to sustain. You can maybe do it when you're young. That's what a lot of people do. They kind of do these kind of things when they're in their 20s, and then they realize, that's cool. I made some money. I'm good. I actually need to focus on family and my mental health, so you got to dial it back. Unless, of course, you're doing your own thing and you're loving it. Okay. If you're in business for yourself and you're doing 70 hours a week, it's self-imposed. It's like, it's not really work to you. It's fun. And you get a sense of satisfaction and validation and accomplishment by watching money roll in and people say they're happy with doing business with you. They thank you. It's like this, I don't want to say it's a drug, but you gain a lot of personal satisfaction out of it. You get a sense of self-worth and all. So like you enjoy it. It's like fun. It's like a video game you can't put down. In a way, you're addicted to it because it's fun, but you do realize that like, I really should get up and do other things. Okay, so burnout issue. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything like that, but in my experience, the solution to burnout is to dial it back. Now, if you're in a situation, you're in a job where they just demand that and there's no letting up, and the only way out is to tender your resignation, maybe you should consider that. Maybe you should take some time to try and get something alternate lined up. Or if it's like an acute problem, it's serious, just stop. If it's causing you harm mentally, physically, whatever, maybe you should consider that, and then if you're doing okay financially, then maybe move to something that is more sustainable. You don't have to sell your soul to your job. I would take steps in that direction. It's great to be a success and it's great to work hard and be dedicated, but there are limits and you've got to take care of yourself. Vivian says, thank you. You're welcome, Vivian. Raul, thank you for the answer. My pleasure, Raul. Alex, IT infrastructure for all. Alex, I have 15-year IT. How can I leverage it into a side business? IT infrastructure for all. Yeah. I mean, the great thing is when you combine stuff, but remember, Remember what I said at the beginning of this live stream. That's kind of the theme for today, which is that if you do something terribly, terribly innovative, okay, you're trying to put big pharma or banking, combine it with IT to do something new. If that's what you're thinking, remember, you run up against the sort of startup problem, the innovative startup problem, where it's the toughest business problem to solve because you're trying to sell a product that nobody knows, nobody is familiar with. They don't know what it is. They don't know how it benefits them. They don't know why they should pay for it. Why shouldn't it just be free? Answer me that. Right? So if you have to educate your customer, it's one of the biggest business challenges. It's a very tough business challenge. You can really, really save yourself a lot of the difficulty level. You could dial down the difficulty level if you go with something that people already know what it is and they already know that it's something they should pay for. Okay? That's kind of the theme for today. Okay? That's why side hustles usually, they're small problems. You're not trying to change the world. You're trying to make some money. And it's easier to make some money. If you stop someone on the street and said to them, look, I combine IT and, just as an example, I combine IT with big pharma or with sports bets to do something new, to do an exchange where you can buy and sell these like a commodity, okay, and make money on the difference, on the spread between the buyer and the seller. Is the average person going to say, yes, I can see the value in that. I could see that you could make a lot of money with that, and I know that I need it, and I would be your first customer. Or if you went up to them and say, hello, I walk dogs. Do you have a dog? You ever get those times when, you just wish you could go away, you and your spouse, to a restaurant without the kids, whatever, and you just don't want to take your dog with you because dogs are not allowed? Wouldn't it be great if you could just conveniently, easily put it in the care of someone that's right around the corner that will take care of your dog? You trust them. Wouldn't that be great? They'll say, yes, and I will be your first customer. Which one of those you think would be an easier sell? Right? Usually the easy, traditional, established thing. So that's definitely something to consider when you're doing a side hustle. Okay, the goal here is to make money. And you make money by providing a service people want, that they value. And usually the best way to do that is if it's something that they've heard of and they know what it is. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I have to wrap it up now. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be back, or I hope to be back, this Wednesday for a live stream on how to get hired if you have job interview questions or employment questions. And then I hope to do another one of these on Thursday. We'll see how it works for side hustle ideas. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are awesome. Take care.